then that I am Dr. Karen Camosa Hawkins. I'm the program director for our school psychology program at Loyola Marymount University. And I am joined today by Cheryl Hugo, our admissions counselor. Some of you may have met Cheryl. Can you all see Cheryl? She's at the top of my screen. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm also joined by Nanoha, who is in the first year of our program this year, and she's in our on-campus cohort or on-campus program, and she happens to also be one of our graduate assistants who is supporting the program. And hopefully, before we finish out, Devin, our other graduate assistant, will be able to join us as well. And so let me just forward. Okay. So I'm going to ask that we reserve all of the questions until the end. So I'm just going to do a brief presentation on just give an overview of our program, give you all of the information I think you need at this stage. And then at the end, we should have enough time to address any questions that remain outstanding for you. So just to give an overview, as you likely already know, we do have both an on-campus program and an online program. They're really truly the same exact program, same expectations, same curriculum, same faculty, but you either apply to be in the online cohort or the on-campus cohort, and then you would complete that 3-year program with the same cohort of students that start the program with you, and you finish that program 3 years later. And in the 3 years that you're completing the program, you actually earn 2 degrees along the way. So you earn a master's in educational psychology at the end of year 2. And then at the end of year 3, you earn your specialist degree in school psychology, along with the California PPS credential in school psychology. So it's those two, the credential and that Ed.S degree, is what allows you to practice as a school psychology in California. Our program, being that it is NASP approved, you will become eligible at the completion of the program to become a nationally certified school psychologist as well, which is nice if you ever have any plans of moving to another state and practicing in another state. It's nice to have that, but even if you never plan to leave California and always practice here, it's just nice to have that credential as well, as it's recognized nationwide. And then lastly, you are also eligible to become a licensed educational psychologist after a few years of practicing as a credentialed school psychologist. There is an exam that you can take if you so choose to practice independently outside of the context of the preschool through 12th grade environment of a school. And that licensing is separate from the credential, and it's through the Board of Behavioral Sciences through the state of California. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because that comes after you complete the program. All right. So as I mentioned, it is a 3-year program, and year 1, we really focus on making sure that you have a good, solid foundation in school psychology in terms of having the knowledge and skills that you need to practice as a school psychologist. And we do incorporate field-based assignments in year 1 that helps to facilitate that connection between theory and practice. You can expect in year 1 to have classes 2 to 3 evenings per week. I think one semester we are able to fit it into 2 evenings back to back, and then one semester we need an additional evening to fit all of the courses in. So you can work full time in year 1, but we really do encourage you to have a job that affords some flexibility to allow you the time and space to do these field-based assignments. So having some flexibility in your job, particularly if you work full-time or are piecing together part-time jobs, having some flexibility is really important. In year 2, we continue to focus on building your knowledge and skills related to the practice of school psychology. Courses are 2 evenings a week, and we make sure that we keep them to those 2 evenings because 2 days a week, and in some cases 3 days a week, you are completing a practicum or field work experience in year 2. So you have 500 total hours that you have to complete over the year, which you should be able to easily do 2 days a week, full days. But there is some flexibility in how you schedule that. So if you're trying to coordinate that with a work schedule, as long as your practicum placement is willing to work with you and make that work, you certainly can continue to work part-time while doing practicum. But it is a rigorous program, and there are a lot of courses that you do need to balance with your workload as far as a job, practicum, and then the course load. So it is a lot. So you just, again, the more flexibility you have with a part-time job would be ideal. In year 2, the fieldwork courses, and we have some advanced counseling courses that provide some supervision for the counseling that you're doing at your practicum sites. We do have smaller class sizes. So our cohorts typically are, I would say, anywhere from 15 to 20 students. An ideal cohort size for us is about 17, 18 students. So that's typically what we aim for, but give or take sometimes, just depending on different factors in a particular year. But the field work and practicum supervision courses, we usually divide those into even smaller sections to make sure that you have adequate supervision and mentoring and support while you're doing the field-based training. And then fast forward to year 3 in the program, you are no longer able to have much work outside of your classes and your internship, because it is a full-time internship. It is a full-time job. And in some cases, internship is paid, and in other cases, it's unpaid. And sometimes it's somewhere in between, where maybe you get a stipend that helps with defray some of the costs, but perhaps doesn't pay quite as much as a fully paid internship. But that is 1,200 hours that you do need to complete over the course of the year. And at this point, you have a far lighter course load that you're expected to complete in year 3. You have an internship course where you have faculty who are supervising and mentoring your field-based experiences. You also have a field mentor at the school sites. But we're really focused in year 3 on making sure that you have the depth and breadth of skills across the 10 NASP domains of practice. And you've heard me mention NASP now a couple times. NASP is the National Association of School Psychologists, and we are a NASP approved program. In year 3, you are also expected to take the Praxis 2 exam, which is, once you pass that exam, which is a requirement of our program, it's essentially our comprehensive exam, if you will. But passing that exam is what allows you to be NCSP eligible. So what that means is when you complete the program through NASP, you would apply for your NCSP, and you've already passed the exam. And so it's just a matter of sort of filing that paperwork to formalize that. So you heard me mention paid versus unpaid internships. Just to give you a sense, currently we have 32 interns this year in this school year. And we have 12 of them who are making essentially the full salary of a school psychologist. So anywhere from, $97,000 a year or upwards of that. In fact, I feel like that amount actually increased for some of our folks this year. And then we have another 13 who are making anywhere from a $12,000 stipend to a $40,000 stipend. And then we always have a handful of interns who actually just elect to take an unpaid internship. They are able to work it out given their circumstances, or they just don't want the pressure of having that paid internship because the paid internships tend to be a little more demanding of their time. And so there are always those options as well. All right. So next, I want to just talk a little bit about what makes LMU's school psychology program unique or different from other training programs that you might be looking into. And our school psychology program has 5 learning strands that we weave throughout the program. So our first learning strand is the integration of research, theory, and practice. And so you'll see that all of our courses do a really good job in terms of getting you to apply what research says, evidence-based practices, making sure that you have those knowledge and skills and are able to apply those knowledge and skills, because ultimately we're going to recommend you for a credential in school psychology. And so it's important that you are able to kind of integrate the research, theory, and practice. We also have a lot of our courses cover leadership development. So as school psychologists, that is one of your sort of primary functions, or the school districts really look to school psychologists to be leaders at the school. And so we want to make sure that we're equipping you with the knowledge and skills to do so. And we ask you to sort of focus on your leadership strengths, and we refine and help you to kind of grow those leadership strengths so that ultimately you can be effective at bringing about change in the school system. And both at the individual level and systems level. Our third learning strand is self-care, stress management, and burnout prevention. So this is another important learning strand for us that we prioritize in the program. And we incorporate different learning activities in year 1, year 2, year 3, to make sure that you are developing the skills to really promote wellness and work-life balance. So we want to make sure that you're not burning out. You know, school psychology is a very demanding career, and we want to make sure that you have the tools to maintain and have that positive work-life balance. Our fourth learning strand is positive mental health, motivation, and resilience. And so in this regard, we really shift from a deficit paradigm by teaching more, research-informed, evidence-based practices to make sure that the students that we are supporting in the PK through 12 environment have that academic and social emotional resilience. And so this aligns all of our all of our learning strands align readily with LMU's mission, just in terms of valuing and respecting all individuals, promoting social justice and cultural responsiveness, integrating theory and practice, and developing moral, intellectual, responsible, and caring leaders, while also collaborating and sharing leadership across communities. So you kind of see how our programs, learning strands fit really nicely with the university's mission. And then last but not least, we have our fifth learning strand, which is social justice in action. And again, this is something that is woven throughout our program. So you start talking about this, reflecting on this, having activities tied to social justice in action in the very first course in the program. And you will revisit this in all of your coursework throughout the program. And then finally, in year 3, you take a 1-unit class each semester. You have internship, where you are actually putting this into practice, and you have a systemic change project that you're working on implementing within the school system. And so this is getting you to kind of think about and again apply theory and research into practice to bring about systemic change and make sure that our schools are as socially just as can be. And there's plenty of work to be done in that area, I promise you. All right, so next up, I have things on my screen that's kind of blocking part of the presentation, but We have some pictures here of some of our candidates. We have one of our former professors who's now emeritus in one of these pictures, but just to kind of give you a sense of our program's community and the community building that we really prioritize and think is very important for our students. We have the Graduate Association of School Psychologists is our student organization that is all run by students in the program. And Devin, actually, who I mentioned to you, one of our graduate assistants, she's joined us, and she's one of her cohort leaders for the year 2 cohort. And then we have, so there's lots of different leadership opportunities if that's something that interests you. But the whole idea behind GASP is that we are year 3 is mentoring year 2, year 2 is mentoring year 1. There's really the sharing of information and building that community. There's different events and fun community building activities that GASP plans and offers. And I'll let Devin and Anoha speak more to that when we get to the questions stage. And then a lot of our students actually find leadership opportunities in terms of presenting at both the California Association of School Psychologists annual conference, as well as the National Association of School Psychologists annual convention. So we just had a whole bunch of students attend CASP, which was in Palm Springs this year. And in February, we have NASP coming up in Seattle, and some of our students are actually presenting at NASP as well. So that's another opportunity if that's something that interests you. You see a picture here, some of our graduates, and it just, you know, the byline there under that picture is that all of our graduates of the program have no problem finding employment. There is a shortage of school psychologists statewide, I would say nationwide. You should have no problem finding employment once you complete the program. And then there's a picture here of a couple different events. One was, it was a 5K. I think some of our candidates and faculty are actually in that picture in the top right corner, who did a 5K. I want to say it was Father Boyle's organization that they were raising money for. So that was a nice event. And in the bottom right-hand corner is an event where that is tied to our family collaboration course, family consultation and collaboration course, where we have our candidates are actually working with families and educating families in terms of legal rights. And then there's a graduation ceremony as part of that. And so that's what you see. I think you see some students, some of our students, some of the K through 12 students, and some parents that are in that picture. So just some pictures of different ways of getting involved and kind of learning and growing and developing as a professional. And then we have a picture of some of our year 2 candidates here. And so they had a beach outing that day. And so there's just a handful of people that were able to make it to that event. So just so you can see some more of our candidates. And before we get into our Q&A section, I did want to just point out the student resource sessions that LMU is offering. So tonight at 6 o'clock, there is a 30-minute session with financial aid office that I encourage you to attend. And then from 6:30 to 7, our career and professional development office is also providing a session. So I understand that you've received the links to those sessions. They're different links than this one. So you'll be able to join those and get some more information in support of those 2 resources. And then on Tuesday, if there happens to be any international folks here attending, there is an international student panel at 7 o'clock tomorrow.